Now, the Tshegofatso Pule murder case continues in the Gauteng High Court today. In fact, the High Court in Johannesburg. Yesterday, the court heard that the relationship between the alleged mastermind, Ntuthuko Shoba, and convicted murderer, Muzikayise Malephane, is now toxic. Malephane was interrogated about the details surrounding the murder plot and his initial statements on the case. Last year, he turned state witness and pleaded guilty to killing Pule. He's now serving a 20-year jail term. Mnisi is our reporter on the story. He joins us now live. Linda, he was interrogated around various aspects of his version of events. There was also an issue brought up around his plans to have Ntuthuko Shoba harmed if indeed he is in jail in the coming weeks, months. There's also questions around the plans for how he would have been paid, how Muzikayise Malephane would have been paid. Questions around why he never pursued when this supposed payment would have been made.
Yeah, absolutely, Michelle. And you'll remember that one would expect that in a crime such as this one, the issue around payment would really also be one that is sensitive. And he was questioned around when he expected to be paid, because he says shortly after he had committed the crime, he did bump into Ntuthuko Shoba at a cash build in Midlands. He only said that he was organizing the money with no clear indication of when exactly that money would be paid. So they asked him, so when did you expect to be paid? When did you think that he would be able to pay you? He says, I know that he would have paid me, because if he hadn't paid me, I would blackmail him. But also, he's very scared of me, so I definitely know that he would have definitely paid me. But of course, he later on goes on to speak about now a trust fund that was allegedly received by, Ntuthuko Shoba's wife. He says Ntuthuko told him that there was a trust fund amounting to around 8 million rand that he would pay. But if you look at that statement and compare it to a statement that he had said earlier on around, the issue around payment when the discussions were happening, or rather the issues around, why he did not want the baby. He says Ntuthuko Shoba told him that he would lose his wife, he would lose money, but he didn't know where the money came from, Michelle.
So what are we expecting to hear today? Does the defense continue with that cross-examination, Linda?
Yes, indeed. The defense is continuing with its cross-examination. And what seems to also be coming out of this cross-examination is really Ntuthuko Shoba's relationship with Muzikayise Malephane. You'll remember in the lower court, he had told the court that he in fact only met Muzi during the hard lockdown when he was selling illicit alcohol. But of course, we do know that Muzikayise says in fact that is a lie. They had met way prior to that. In fact, their relationship dates back to around 2008 when he was still in high school. But what this particular incident has created, as he answers in court, you see that there is a bit of tension between the two, because he was asked about the videos that he took, or when he spoke to a journalist shortly after he was sentenced, where he speaks about him being sorry and remorseful about what he has done, but also says that Ntuthuko Shoba better be caught before he catches him himself. So they asked him what he meant by that, and he said, well, I would have injured him. He would have been a hospital case, because what he has gotten me into is deep trouble. I am in deep trouble today because of him. He says, I wouldn't be sitting here had it not been for him. But also, he was also questioned around the voice notes that came out and made the rounds on social media, where he's heard saying that he has organized members of the gang linked to the 26th and the 28th who would sexually abuse Ntuthuko Shoba once he gets to prison. And he says that, well, that was a conversation that he was having with his friends in a WhatsApp group, and that information happened to be leaked by one of his friends who was in that WhatsApp group, but he had not arranged any of what he had spoken about. They also quiz him around the statements that he made, because ultimately, why would Ntuthuko Shoba choose him, to carry out this crime when he could have gone for someone else, when in fact they are acquaintances. He says that in his initial statements to the police, he in fact lied. His initial statement contains some lies, but his plea has the truth.
And of course, the 28-year-old young woman at the heart of this, brutally murdered at 8 months pregnant. Linda Mnisi, thanks very much indeed for that update. Of course, it will be interesting to hear what the judge makes of this he said kind of testimony.